So, I mean, so who controls the purse strings? Is it the Albany appointed director of RIOC? Or is it the head of this group of people that we're about to
May I answer that question, since unfortunately none of you are on the board yet, but I've dealt with RIOC for many, many years and seen, and I think Margie will bear this out. Unfortunately, when you have a president of the board who thinks that they work for the governor and thinks that their job is to rubber stamp whatever comes down from Albany, you have your answer. And what we need are people with the cojones, who said that?
Yes.
Who can actually vote together to stand up and oppose what they're saying. And the question was, and Linda made a very valid point, there are 7 people on the board plus 2 more, and those are people that are appointed by that are people in government. Margie, help me out here. One's the head of finance.
The budget of Commissioner DHCR, but the legislation actually says the budget office has to approve our budget.
Okay, so there's 9 people on the board. There's 4 people sitting here. There's 3 more people who are on our board currently that want to continue that are Roosevelt Island residents. And so if they vote as a block of 5, then they are the majority, and that's what it takes. But in fact, a couple of months ago, we had an issue where the budget was being passed, the 2018 budget. RIC, the Roosevelt Island Community Coalition, and the Roosevelt Island Residents Association both voted unanimously, I believe, for a resolution that insisted that the $23 million that was supposed to come from the state be included in that budget. The only person who stood behind the resolution of this community is sitting right here. We need new faces on that board who understand that we are not just, okay, a public benefit corporation is an enterprise that manages assets for the state of New York. But we, here on Roosevelt Island, we're not just assets. We're a community, and we need people on that board that understand the difference between a business and government. And that's why this election is so important to this community.
I know there's not an open question, but I think there's also an issue here about communication. You know, we have the wire and we have the blog, and this is not a judgment on either one. I think probably representatives from both here, and they're both great, you know, wonderful. But, and I know they have their conflict, but at the end of the day, there seems to be a lack of communication. Because I don't know about you, but I can't put a face to anyone in RIOC, really. I mean, I don't know what our head looks like. I don't know what the president looks like, just because there's this lack of communication. Now, how do we fix that? Do we work with the wire and the blog to have communication? Probably. Do we have something else? Is there a form? Does RIOC get a website where you can put that information? Yes, but what information? I can't even find our bios, you know, anywhere. You know, it's on the wire. But you know, I was looking for more information to find out about. I'm sorry. Did I do something?
No, I have to apologize because Rick asked me for it, and I just unfortunately I've just been too busy. I'm sorry.
And that was an attack. But what I'm saying is there has to be a way.
I just don't want him to be faulted for it because it is.
No. If the blog and the wire were that's good. But quite frankly, they shouldn't be. There should be a way for direct communication between RIOC and the community. We live in the digital age. There's something called electronic mail. I think people colloquially know it as email. You know, there should be ways of getting email out to everyone, as well as other ways of, you know, we're not limited to fax messages to tell people about different things. You know, that there isn't a poster board ability for every organization to do is complete and utter hooky. It's wrong. There has to be a way to communicate, and it's got, when I was in college, we put up signs, and everyone, whatever you had to do, you put up these signs, and everyone knew how to do it. We're kind of gone back with that here, because that's the way to get messages out, and that's frankly ridiculous. There's no reason
Yeah,
for
it's
that.
kind of archaic.
Can I say something?
Of course.
I'm a member of the senior center, Carter Burden, and I assure you that if there's anything you four people would need, please come and visit and see. That is one of the sources of communication, which I think would be very helpful for every one of you. So whatever you have in mind, your platform, whichever you want to, exercise the best to your ability to the people, the public, they will listen. They are a force to be reckoned with, as far as information and to knowledge to know how to help.
Just
I
to
just
be
want-
fair, there is the RIOC website, which is
Yeah.
limited, but it's there. And also you can sign up for advisories and determine what kind of advisories you want to be on the
Yeah.
list for.
Erica Wilder was actually responsible for putting together a community calendar.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to that. It was a wonderful concept. And if I'm not mistaken, and you correct me if I'm wrong, are you still getting the emails that people send through RIOC?
No.
No. So that's been eliminated. There used to be a way that you could actually communicate with the RIOC representative, right? And was it the present administration that did away with that? Yeah. So that's what's going
The
on.
logic was, they were sending us things saying there were potholes and things like that, which I'm fine with, because I'm the one who answered them. And there were plenty of them. And they wanted to funnel it through operations instead of it having to go through us. So they took it off, and I didn't realize it until it kind of dawned on me I wasn't getting too many. But I've asked them to put it back. We'll see, and they do have a, report, if you have to report a problem, it's on the RIOC website, and goes to Mr. Fix It. That's the
Okay,
email.
so I think that what we're trying to say is that we'd like to see RIOC come up with a way for this community to create communication that enables us to be more of a community.
I'm kind of new on the island. I live here for 2 years at the Octagon building. I talked to you, Nancy.
Now I know who you are. Thank you.
I'm gonna vote for you because I'm very interested, and I don't know
have a lot
the
of
other people. You do have my vote, but also the way that you speak, and most of you seems like you really know what you're a lawyer and Bloomberg Reuters. I'm like, oh, this is good for us. How much time do you have in your personal lives to do this job?
And that's
To
all.
serve for, to
I
serve
definitely want to
us?
answer that. That was one of my first questions to Joyce when I looked at this. I said, I do travel a lot. I'm in charge of security for the whole Western Hemisphere for Bloomberg and do the global safety portion for them as well. So, but having said that, in my previous life, I commanded the largest battalion in the Marine Corps, the Anti-Terrorism Battalion. I had 11 sites in 9 different time zones in Marines on deployment and was a cop, and I had my home life. And I juggled those 3 bowling balls without dropping them and hurting anybody. So I think I can do this. My job gives me enough latitude. In fact, I had to go all the way up the food chain. I worked 3 rings down from Mike, and I was able to bring it up to the management committee. They acknowledged that they thought it was important for me involved, myself in the community. They liked the fact that I'm on Roosevelt Island, especially since Mike donated a sizable portion of what's happening at Cornell Tech, and they'd like to have a voice here. So they were very amenable to it. I'm able to manage my time, and I believe an attorney can manage his, and I think that working at Thomson Reuters, and we can all manipulate our time. It's not like this is such a cumbersome thing. It's gonna require some of our off time to read, to get involved, but it's no different than being active in your community in any way. So I think it's very doable.
I'll also address that. When I said before about budgeting time, coming here, you put it in, you figure it out. I generally do. I used to run a bar association for a time. I don't do that anymore because now I do other volunteer work. This is the volunteer work. This is the thing. I'm a partner, so I can. If worst comes to worst, I'll tell the associate to draft the papers. it's, the point is, that's what I paid them for. The point though is, we figure out the time, we're all here because, you know, this is important and we'll figure the time out. It's something you budget in, we'll figure, you know, we gotta do it. But it's, like I said, it's not like we're doing it for the money, we're doing it for the passion. And because we wanna build the community, make it better. There's just no reason for I mean, I hate to say it, I've lived here 12 years, and in some ways it's gotten better, in some ways it's gotten worse, and there's no reason for the bad things to have happened. You know, it's just, there's no, and it's not like, you know, I've had some issues with some organizations, but that's an organizational issue. I'm just saying physically, there's no reason for some of these things to happen. And we could fix it, and they have to be fixed. So, there's that.
Melissa?
Thank you. So my name is Melissa Wade. I've lived here for 7 years. I'm part of Roosevelt Island Residents Association. And they say that all politics are local. So what I would like to know is, given where you live on the island, and I'm not saying you need to disclose that, what do you really love about the particular place where you live, and what is a biggest concern, given just really like right where you live?
And let's start with number 4, since we started with number 1. You're number
Okay.
4.
I'm 4. Okay, I live in Manhattan Park, so don't stalk me, but it's a small island, so you figure it out in a way. I love Manhattan Park. We've stayed there, we've lived in 2 buildings. The concern I have, it's a lot of wasted space, but I think more of the concern is there's behind her, just the way it's set up, I think is wasted space. But I think that there's a lot of community space. You know, there's a little while ago there was a presentation of the original plans for the waterfront, right? And that's where that road, that was actually supposed to be a road that people would drive down, and there were supposed to be stores there. And I said, wow, that would actually be gorgeous. That would be wonderful, but it didn't happen. I think the problem is how the space gets used. But I think part of what RIOC could do, or what we could do, is develop some of that more open space. I'd love to hear that the grill pits are coming back, because those numbers have dwindled and they got to be bad. We could fix that. I love the Lighthouse Park. It's a great almost untapped resource. And it's shocking that it's almost untapped, but it's gorgeous and it should be used better. And then, you know, the sports park. There's got to be a way of making the sports park more part of the community, because I gotta tell you, I didn't step foot in there until the 6th year that I was here. And then I was shocked, because the swimming pool is amazing. You know, the tennis courts are amazing. They have all the racket court, all this stuff that the soccer field that no one uses. And it's sort of like a wasted space. There's got to be a way of making it open to public that we know about. So, and if it's by having more open days, you know, or what have you, get to know the island better, something, we got to structure it so that there's more acknowledgement and use of the space. It's a great place, but it's just not used, and that's a problem.
Thanks.
Free.